It's an honor to be here. I like some of the questions that we're having. You know, I know for many of us at Fort Campbell, this is a very special place. It's not the first time for me to be assigned to this area. I asked to come back here specifically because of you in this community and how you treated my family when I was deployed. And so now my job is to take care of the families at Fort Campbell while their soldiers are deployed, and that's my principal role. Just to give you an idea of scope for those of you who might not know how big Fort Campbell is, this morning we had 47,000 cars come through our gates. And so we have about 27,000 active duty soldiers, 54,000 family members, somewhere around 10,000 contractors depending on the day. So the scope is large, about $4.55 billion economic impact between both the states of Tennessee and Kentucky. Of course, we sit astride the state line. You know, this year marks 75 years that Fort Campbell's been Camp Campbell to Fort Campbell here in this community, and we're honored to be a part of everything that's here. And I just want to talk a little bit about things that we're doing now that are interesting and things that we're doing as we move into the future, because there's really some amazing things that are happening both now and as we look at the future. You know, we have a program called Soldier for Life Transition Assistance Program, and that's how we educate and prepare soldiers to transition from the military. And so 85% of our soldiers leave the military and they don't make it to 20 years. And so that means that the majority are going to transition out of the military at some point and enter the workforce. And we, you know, I know that you want them to enter your workforce right here. About 20%, probably around 25% now do that today. And the question is, how do we move that further to have a higher percentage of that as we go into the future? You know, our soldiers are pretty amazing. They're very adaptive, and the things that we get asked to do are a very small percentage of combat and a very large percentage of showing people what it means to be great citizens in the greatest country on earth. And so we convey ideas and we influence people to be part of something bigger. And so I think that special skill that is unique, that you can't necessarily train everyone to do, but that's what we train soldiers to do, and they get to live it in one of the most challenging leadership labs you could ever have, and that's combat. And so I would tell you that it's an interesting thing, and it creates a unique opportunity, particularly for this community, in terms of something that's different about here. And that is that there are soldiers here. To know a soldier is actually a unique opportunity. And let me tell you why I would say that. So if we look back to the Revolutionary War, there was about 2.5 million citizens at that time and 20,000 active duty soldiers. So if you look at the ratios there, we're about 1 in 25 Americans was a soldier back in the beginning of our nation. In World War II, we had a population of 137 million, and 7 million of those were active duty soldiers. So that was about 1 in every 20. Today, in 2016 in our nation, our population is 324 million with 480,000 active duty soldiers. So 1 in every 675 Americans is an active duty soldier. So if we go like my driver, he is from Wyoming, and there's 3 soldiers from his town. Okay? In this community, 1 in every 7 citizens is a soldier. So what unique opportunities does that create for us in this community to pull those folks as they transition, that 85%, into this community to be permanent residents here, both in Tennessee and Kentucky? Where do we see opportunities for public-public partnerships and public-private partnerships? So where do we have shared interests within the community between ourselves and local government to where we both have a need to meet collectively, and we can come together to meet those needs? So as an example, as we look at our Department of Public Works and the Clarksville Street Department, are there things that we could share, resources? We both need salt this winter. It's supposed to be a pretty rough winter. And so where are those partnerships that we can do? Even small ways. As I talk to people around this room, there's all kinds of small partnerships that are occurring throughout this community all the time that make us better collectively, and we need that because it helps us make our resources, both for ourselves and for the community, go a little bit further. We have the second largest installation or airfield in the Army, and as busy as Houston International. And that's what our airspace is here. It's very unique. As we talk about drones and things like that, you know, there's potential in the future that I would encourage you to take a look at as we look at what Mr. Schmidt was talking about in terms of future potential, that as we look at future airframes and the industries that are needed to support those, is that an area that, because we're talking about 15 to 20 years from now, is there an area there that we can start now to set the conditions so that when they go into these search engines that Mr. Schmidt was talking about, that Fort Campbell filters out, or excuse me, Clarksville filters out the right way. And we set all those conditions in place to make them very attractive. I know on the base, one of my jobs is long-range planning for the installation, to look at how we grow Fort Campbell in the right direction, and that's one of the things as we look at our airfields, growing those airfields to be the airfields that they need to be in 15 to 20 years. And that planning is happening right now, and we really need to do that with you so that we are both providing a realistic look at what we need for the Army, but then also how does the community help us fill those needs to support that technology and those needs as the Army grows to meet the future capacity that we need, both within the helicopters that I talked about, but also drones. We have a significant drone capability on Fort Campbell, and apparently in the commercial industry as well, and we have a great airspace to support that regionally here, because we control a huge amount of airspace on Fort Campbell.
For more videos, visit Clarksville Now on YouTube.